Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals through the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? We, the people of the United States and other places around the world. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. But before we get started, let's get busy with the studio. Los Genios to Geniuses in the studios, represented by El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Well, Stanley, this is another fine mess you've got me into.
Oh, I don't know, Ollie.
Here we go. Good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday, the 13th of January, 2025, and we are here, and I'm going to resist the rant because I don't really have one prepared, but I've been, reading a lot of stuff on the internet from Oh, yeah, there is a rant I want to talk about. It's Donald Trump's ridiculous $10 billion suit against CBS. Now, I watched everything. I watched the released footage that they gave them. And even though she wasn't necessarily focused, I don't see how I can make this claim. Because I watched the raw footage. All right, she wasn't real focused on some things, but it's a standard practice in broadcasting to edit stuff. If you got somebody who's rambling, talk about rambling speeches. I mean, she wasn't necessarily focused on that, and I don't know why. It wasn't because she's incompetent. Maybe she'd been campaigning so much that day. Maybe she was nervous about being on CBS. I don't know. But not necessarily focused doesn't mean that you can't answer the question. They talk about the word salad. Well, yeah, she kind of went the long way around to answer a question. But listen, look at his rambling speeches. He's an editor's nightmare, I can tell you that much. And I'm a professional editor. I mean, some of the stuff that I edit, you would see people go, and you got this out of that? Some of these artists that we do here, and they're artists. They're not professional broadcasters, and they're telling their story. There's a lot of ums and ahs and, pauses and wait. And okay, I've got to think about this. Okay. Well, all that gets cut out in editing. And the same with television. I've edited television shows many, many times, and I know what they were doing. They were making it more concise. Not necessarily, they claim word salad. Okay, well, you can claim that all you want to. Rambling is what I call it. But she kind of got a little off topic, and who knows why? I mean, I would be very nervous being on
Let
CBS.
me tell you. Let me just for the record, when I get a caller here, and there's sometimes that I will go onto a complete rant. And then I am going to edit that thing and edit out all my ramblings so that I can have a concise thing of what I'm actually saying. And that makes it to the 3:00 program. That is very standard editing procedures, period.
Mm-hmm.
So if CBS makes an attempt to pay that's the end of the rights of free speech and what somebody is able to do with editing. I'm sorry, that's what we do.
Well, it's all about the money. CBS and Paramount, they're in a deal for what, Sky something or another,
right?
And they're afraid. Oh, well, the deal may not go through if we get sued and have to go to court. Well, I mean, that's just part of broadcasting. They sue broadcasters all the time, and they usually lose.
Yeah.
Now, this absurd notion, well, it makes her look better. Well, you can't sue somebody over that. So it's just another Donald Trump BS. And I almost violated our FCC rules here because it just irritates me so much that he's going to go, oh, well, they edited that interview. Well, if you look at any of his interviews, they've edited his too.
Of course.
So, anyway, Jack has almost a full page of wisdom, so I think we should get to that, and I should conclude my rant with, it's just nonsense.
Amen.
And this is what we're in for the next 4 years.
Yes.
They elected a Trojan horse is what happened. And now we have termites eating our government. And Jack is sitting there going, how do I follow that up?
Good morning.
What's up, Jack? Good morning, Jack. How you doing, my brother?
Americans, are you suffering buyer's remorse yet?
You bet they are.
As Trump and Wonderboy Musk are attacking and dismantling the Department of Health and Human Services. This attack on programs that ultimately benefit the citizens are being destroyed for tax cuts for the wealthy. This is an outrage. It's an outrage.
Yes, it's an outrage. It's an outrage. It's an outrage. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. Today, of course, is Thursday, which means it's the day that we have the founder of the Houston Democracy Project, El Señor Neil Aquino. Neil, good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
Right. Excuse me. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, global audience, local audience, streaming audience, video audience, all the audiences. And, you know, these attacks on 60 Minutes and George Stephanopoulos and all these things, not allowing the Associated Press in the Oval Office until they use the new
Gulf
term,
of America.
Gulf of America. And, you know, this is all the Viktor Orban authoritarian playbook. They are making, they are assaulting the media, making, and then there was just a case where the casino, I haven't read a story on it yet, but the casino owner, Steve Wynn, who's been around forever, is trying to undo the Sullivan case, which would lessen the standards for libel, for public opinion. That case goes back to the 60s. And that is very difficult to libel a public official. They want to lower that standard. So this is a full case of assault on your rights, folks, and to make it easier for elected officials to sue. And since they have unlimited money, you know, they'll just sue, and the fact of defending the lawsuit will be enough, whether you're going to win it or lose it.
That is so fast. I mean, I blogged about that case on one of my Substack articles a few days ago. Shameful, and it's something we got to watch out about. But anyhow, folks, before we get into the program, I just want to tell you that if we have some time, I want to cover the absurdity must end. So says Bernie Sanders. A study highlights the healthcare industry's greed. And I think we have to make sure and keep that in the top of people's head every time they hear, we can't change our healthcare system because we're going to be like Canada or Great Britain or whatever. Every one of those systems for the average citizen would be better. Anyway, what's up, Senor Neil Aquino?
So, Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. There's a blog, Houston Democracy Project. Please visit it. And there's two posts I want to handle. One I can handle very quickly, and one maybe a little more of a discussion on. The quicker one is, I wrote a post 2 days ago about Houston City Councilwoman Twyla Carter, who is one of the 6 Republicans on Houston City Council: Ramirez, Peck, Huffman, Carter, Davis, and the other one's eluding me right now. And City Council is a partisan body. So Twyla Carter attended a Mattress Mac rally in October, Get Out the Vote rally, and Mayor Whitmire, made her the chair of Council's quote-unquote resilience committee. So that deals with climate change, storm recovery, things like that. And I wrote a letter to every member of City Council because they're cutting FEMA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Weather Service, and yet the chair of our committee, who ought to be dealing with those things, supports the stuff until she says otherwise. She was at the Mattress Mac rally. She spoke for Trump. And you can go to HoustonTextTX.gov. The City Council website is there. And you can ask, why is she chair of that committee? Why is she chair of that committee? Fred Flickinger, your council person, is the other Republican. And why? This is a Democratic city, and there should not be someone chairing this important committee whom is in cahoots. And authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure. That's one of my favorite lines. Authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure, and it will require local officials to implement Project 2025 locally, support the attacks on rights, on migrants. HoustonText.gov, I urge you to become engaged with your Houston City Council. Call them, ask him what party that he is. I sent a letter asking for Council Member Carter to be removed by Mayor Whitmire, and for them to hold their own hearings outside of it. But council has to be, and all local government needs to be more responsive, and they are insulated by low turnout and the fact that they're only on the ballot every 4 years. And I spend a lot of time with Houston City Council, and I urge you to do the same. We do not need people implementing authoritarianism here in this giant city in positions of responsibility.
But it's more I think it's more than that, right? Because again, Houston suffers a lot of natural disasters, both flooding from rains and hurricanes, as well as heat issues, freeze issues. And for their leading that particular department, what is it called again?
She leads the Resilience Committee, one of the committees of council. It meets monthly.
Right.
Except she canceled the most recent meeting. Rather than acting with urgency, the February meeting was canceled.
And again, there's a whole lot of planning that needs to be made for hurricane season, right? But again, if Mitch McConnell could come out against Donald Trump and tariffs as how it will affect the people in Kentucky, because Mitch McConnell comes out and he says it. These tariffs will hurt Kentuckians, which is what, of course, we've been saying for a long time.
Right.
It seems like she should be able to come out and say, look, we need FEMA. We need a well-funded FEMA. We need FEMA running as it should. But she doesn't. Anyway, welcome to Joe Ann from Los Angeles, and Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita is in the house. All right, continue, please, my dear brother.
So, Houston City Hall at noon on President's Day, the 17th. Houston City Hall noon. The 50501 protest, a 50501 protest will be held. So you might remember that back on the 5th, there were protests intended for, and there was a sizable protest in Austin, each state capital. There's also a smaller protest in Katy that got 7 or 8 people from our friends at the Katy Indivisible Hub. So there were other protests, but every state capital, and so maybe you've heard of it, 50501. And they are a new group that is organizing a protest movement. You can go to the website is 50, the word 50, 50.1 is where their website is. And there's been a lot of questions about this because the group came out of nowhere. And people are asking, are they cops? Are they, I wondered if they were with the Bob Avakian people who you see sometimes with some of these anti-fascist movements, and they have some aspects to them. Is it a setup? I always see people say, hey, it's a setup for, they're going to arrest everyone. I never really believed that, but you do have to be wary of a protest group out of the blue, which doesn't mean that the groups that have been around forever are necessarily effective. So I'm now in their Discord group. They're on Discord, and I think they're for real. I've seen it suggested that some of them are old or new Bernie Sanders type affiliated folks. They super emphasize peaceful protest because they don't want their protest to be a spur for police activity. They are very focused on you getting a permit. which is not something you don't remember. The First Amendment is your permit. As we've said here on this show before, if you need sound amplification, if you want to march in the street, you do need a permit. But for example, to go to City Hall without sound amplification, you do not need a permit. To be on a sidewalk, you do not need a permit. So I'm hopeful that this group is real. Their agenda seems very broad, opposing fascism. They're trying to stay, I think, out of specific policy fights. They want to be a big tent umbrella. There's a very lively discussion in Discord with all sorts of input. Can become overwhelming a little bit. But I feel that I can recommend in good conscience attending this protest at City Hall on President's Day, Monday at noon. And this dovetails into there have been these stories. There was one in Axios a few days ago where Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic electeds are angry that groups are calling them, protesting them, saying they're not doing enough, and or even suggest people protest in part. And that's kind of this. I always see the term learned helplessness we see. But I'll tell you that we need to take the lead in our opposition and in our protests, because our electeds will not.
And what I'm seeing is people in the grassroots take the lead. And I want to, first of all, for those people who are upset at the Democratic Party and its response to what's going on, I think they're justified. I think the Democratic Party, for all practical purposes, is acting fairly flat-footed. I mean, you don't have to have governmental power. You don't have to have political power within Washington to lead a flock. And I think, there are a lot of things that I can think of that they should be doing. Right now, the Republicans have they're coming out with a new budget. This budget is going to cut Medicaid and all these other issues. We should have, we should be thinking outside of the box. We should have around the clock news feeds. Even though ABC, CBS, and these guys won't cover it, we should have a YouTube channel dedicated to the destruction being effected by the Republican Party, and have it one channel by the Democratic Party out there, and have speakers on it 24/7, that anybody getting off of work at 3 a.m, they can tune into that channel and hear things. And then have it widely advertised. There's so much that could be done that isn't being done.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'm saying is, they have the money to put on an expensive production like that would have reach. But what do we have to do now? We have a lot of groups meeting. Like I said, I gave a speech at the Democratic Party in Kingwood last week, and I kind of told them about, look, it's fine to go through the party, but at this point in time, you have to go out there and do it yourself. Not only do you have to go ahead and engage people, you have to engage those that don't think like you. I was invited as well to an Indivisible meeting last night, and I was very impressed. It's run by Cindy Hendrickson here in Kingwood, and very impressed that she got a whole lot of folk to come out of different ages, which is one of the great things that I saw, all from probably 20 years old all the way up to 80-something years old. People showed up at this particular Kingwood Indivisible meeting. Again, that was chaired by Cindy Hendrickson, and it was, I felt the fire. I felt that these are people that were in the room saying, we have to do something. What are we going to do? And they're planning on making sure people are aware. I also noticed that we had a whole lot of these calls that normally don't get all the Democratic Congress people in select districts. Every time they've had a town hall, they've received between 10 to 20,000 people on their town hall calls, something that's unheard of. So people are, and by the way, a lot of Republicans are starting to engage. Why? Because guess what? They depend on Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare too. And Trump is not, when Trump cuts these programs, these are not programs that just affect liberals. These are programs that affect conservatives, and it affects MAGA folks more so than it affects progressive folks, because MAGA folks are, and I hate to put it this way, but if you take a look at the demographics and you take a look at the income levels and the education levels, there's a distinct difference in who this will affect more. And it doesn't sound cool to say that, but it's the reality of how things are. I want to welcome Paul. Go ahead. Hold on a second.
Those lines,
I want to welcome Paul Fleming. Hold on a second. Paul Fleming, I simply don't agree. You just don't put enough in racism in this country, including people from high school that I thought were friends. When you get into the world, it's a rat race and you choose side. Musk bought Twitter for $40 billion. He bought the U.S. government for $200 million. That is a good deal for Elon. Okay, let me just address Paul Fleming real quick with regards to racism. Look, racism it's a very true and existent thing, and I agree with that. The two meetings that I attended to were mostly white people. These are folks who asked me to come and talk and say a few words. And one of the things I did at this meeting is I told these folks that as white people, they really have some work to do, because Donald Trump and his minions are trying to convince them that they are under attack, and brings out the worst in a lot of folks who look like them. I'm paraphrasing what I had to say, but the good thing about the honest discussion that we had, Brother Fleming, in Atlanta, Georgia, is that they get it. The thing about it is not just talking about, oh, there's racism. There's all kinds of racism out there, but we have to confront it, and we have to be honest with everybody that we're talking to. We have Brother Neil here on here. He's stoked into the anti-racist movement and a lot of other issues as well. So yeah, you're correct, Paul Fleming. Yes, racism has a lot to do with it. But for those of you who follow me, remember what I've always said. Racism is a tool. Racism is a necessary tool of capitalism. I've explained that many times before, but we'll talk about that another time. Go ahead, Neil. Thank you, brother.
So you were saying Republican meetings. So I thought this was interesting. On Wednesday the 19th, from 5 to 7, the abhorrent Congressman Wesley Hunt is having an in-person, my understanding this is in-person forum at Sam Houston Racetrack, 5 to 7 o'clock. He's my congressman, regretfully, and it's in person. It's interesting because I don't think he's had that many in-person events, but he is holding an in-person 5 to 7, Wednesday the 19th at Sam Houston Racetrack. You would think that would allow for a lot of people to be there, a lot of space. It was interesting to me, the location, because that's a cavernous place. There ain't
when is it, Neil? When is it?
It's Wednesday the 19th from 5 to 7 at the Sam Houston Racetrack at 7575 North Sam Houston.
Hey, we should go to that.
I am. Yes, we'll go. Yes. It's at hunt.house.gov. And my understanding, please, I'm not his boss. Well, I am, actually. He's my congressman. But
yeah.
And let me just say, in regards to the exchange he just had with the excellent online participant, I just want to, this is a straight up white supremacist administration. This is not, they're not hedging. They're not hiding. Reagan would use, even Reagan, who would love Trump. Reagan would love Trump. Don't let people tell you not. And this is a straight up white supremacist outfit with eugenicists running it. And every horrible thing you can imagine is where this is headed. This is a pre-1865 crew. This is a pre-1865 crew This isn't a Southern strategy. This isn't Willie Horton coded racism, as blatant as that all was. This is a straight up white supremacist shop.
I agree.
All the implications.
I agree wholeheartedly. Loretta Brock is in the house. She calls it Apartheid 2.0. Loretta, thank you for the link, hunthouse.gov. I think a lot of folks should go out there and let's go to that meeting to support support and enlighten our MAGA brothers and sisters. And let me explain why. I want folks in that meeting letting folks know that all these changes that are being made to the Republican, to the budget actually will affect MAGA folks more so than anybody else. It's going to affect their mothers, their brothers, their sisters, their disabled aunt, etc. So folks who are listening to me, Neil has just made the call to go to Congressman Hunt on the 19th of February,
right,
at the Sam Houston racetrack I think that's on the Beltway.
Yeah, it's on the Beltway. It's from 5 to 7, and if you go to you can RSVP, and it doesn't say you have to RSVP. I would call and ask, because they'll make any rule they want. They'll change any rule they want. So I don't want you to go there and go all the way out there and not be able to get in. There is a registration, and it does nothing on the registration says you have to live in the district, and they can't keep people out, except of course they can do whatever they want, and a cop will be there to back them up. So
you just have to go with a low profile. If you want to get in, wear a MAGA hat. You have a MAGA hat, man?
I have a giant Trump flag that I picked up. It fell off a truck, and I picked off and took it home. And I had these notions, regretfully not realized, that maybe after Harris won the election, I would display the flag as conquered, like a Roman legion.
Right. That
I had conquered the banner, the mace, the standard of the other side. And you can actually see it's behind me for our video audience. It's right behind me.
Yeah,
so I have a giant Trump flag.
I see. I need to get me a MAGA hat, though. Because there are certain places that I go that a MAGA hat is helpful.
Well, when I would canvass, I'm from Cincinnati, and I had a red Cincinnati hat, so the Cincinnati Reds hat, which is red except for a white C. And I had a couple of instances where people said, "Oh, I wasn't going to answer the door. I thought you were a Trumper," because they saw my Archie Bunker self with a big red hat. So I've now gone to a black Reds hat, their away hat, so people don't, because they just would look at me and think Trumper.
Yeah, well, I you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to get me I don't have time to get a hat, but I'll make me one. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to make me
maybe
one.
I'll wear my red Reds hat.
Yeah, maybe you got to do that. Anyhow, Loretta Brock, welcome to the chat. Paul Fleming, welcome to the chat. Eric Hayes, welcome to the chat. We also have in the house Didi, welcome to the chat. Faraber. Jeffries said he's open to meeting with the Republicans. BS. Jeffries take the fight to the Republicans and speak to Republicans' constituents. Exactly, Didi. That is what he needs to do. You nailed it, Didi. Who else have we got? And call him as well.
Jeffries and Schumer. Call him.
Hey, call and let them know that's what we want. Also, we have in the chat MHNND76. Thank you for being here. I don't want to leave out anybody. And of course, Joanna from LA is in the house with us as well. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia is in the house. And he says as well, we can always do this better. Enough is never enough. People get in their corner and stay there. I've explained to who I thought was my best friend, but he voted the way he wanted to. I still feel that he cares, but he finished growing up in his bubble and stays there. And that is what we have to fight for. Okay, let's go ahead and bring Augie into the conversation. Augie, how are you doing this morning, my dear brother?
Hey, morning. Well, you're talking about MAGA hats. Maybe you ought to change it up a little bit. MAGA for everyone. Make America great for everybody.
Yes.
And Ricky is scared I had something on his show Saturday about MAGA. And make it, when you say MAGA, Mexicans aren't going anywhere.
That is no, but the reason I want the MAGA hat is so that I don't have too much trouble getting into the event. You know, that's the reason I want it, because again, look, let me tell you, I've been to several Tea Party events here in Kingwood because they like to come. Ted Cruz come to Kingwood all the time to raise money.
Yeah.
The Tea Party gets together. We meet at the convention center, and those guys know me, right? And we BS together, and I go into the room and all of that. But this crew from what district is that again? Your district.
Wesley Hunt, the District 38.
38, yeah. 38 doesn't know me, so I probably need a MAGA hat, dear. Anyway, Augie, what else is up, my dear brother?
Yeah, well, at Christmas Eve, I take my girlfriend's 94-year-old mother to the grocery store, and I pick her up at the senior citizens apartment complex. And they got the chairs outside by the front door, and they have Mexican-American people out there, old folks, blacks, and whites, and they all get along. They're all talking. Well, this one time I went in, there's this one little old lady, frail little lady, talking with her sister or her daughter, and she's a frail, small Mexican-American lady. And when I come back, she's still on the phone talking with her. And I take the groceries in, and I'm getting my card to leave, and here comes this burly white guy, and he hears her talking in Spanish, and he gets angry and turns around and says, "This is America. You don't speak Spanish." And I stopped my tracks, and he turned around and saw me, and he ran inside the apartment building to go see somebody. And man, we're going backwards. We're not going forward in this country.
Let me ask you something. You said this was a frail old lady on the phone speaking in Spanish?
Yeah.
Now think, what heartless person is going to go to that woman and say, try to bully her? The other thing about it is, this is the only country that I know of that when you're speaking another language, it's seen as something negative. In any other country in the world that you are bilingual, trilingual, there are people that speak 5 languages. I speak 2.5 languages. I mean, there's so many. It is an asset, not a liability. It's a shame that we do things like that. Continue, my brother.
Yeah, and they forget that this Texas was part of Mexico. When the white Americans came into Texas, there were illegal immigrants coming in. Sam Houston, he had to learn Spanish because this was part of Mexico, and Benz was inducted in Spanish. So all the whites that came in, if they wanted to do business in Texas, which was part of Mexico then, they had to learn Spanish. Spanish was the first European language spoken here in Texas, not English.
It is shameful. But anyway, Augie, I need to go to, I guess, Bard. Brother Bard is on the line. So anything else you have to say before I go to Brother Bard?
That'll do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day, Augie. All right, Brother Bard, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto. I have 6 extra MAGA hats. I will sell you one for $35.
I am not going to invest in a MAGA hat. You have to understand that. I am not going to invest in a MAGA hat. I am going to make me a MAGA hat because I cannot support giving my money to that which destroys America. But anyway, continue, my brother.
And I know that Neil bought that flag. He didn't pick it up off the ground. So he's really a Trump supporter in disguise.
Those big, you go up Kingwood, Humble, and other parts, those big gas station, those folks on the side of the road, are they still up there? I've seen them up in Humble and Kingwood selling a ton of Trump flags and everything.
I don't see them anymore. Yeah. Anyway, Bard, what else is up?
I was one of those guys out there selling them. Now I'm selling Mexican flags for $40 each. But anyway,
was it profitable? How did you get them? How did you get them?
I'll get them off of Amazon for $5. But
just resell them. Okay. I never thought about the logistics of it. Okay, that's interesting.
I finally agree with Howard on something. Howard wants to audit the Pentagon, and I agree. We need a full audit of the Pentagon. But we got to be careful going down that rabbit hole. The last time, I think they were short on the budget at least $1 trillion, and then the very next day was 9/11. So that kind of went away. What happened to the money? And then my next comment is, you remember all the crazy women that shaved their head after Trump won this last election? There were several progressive women shaving their heads bald. So my comment was to Betty. I was wondering if her hair grew back yet.
Okay. Well, I imagine Betty will answer your question. And anything else you want to add, Bart, before we move on?
That's it. I might see y'all out at the Hunt rally.
Okay, great. You know, Bart, Bart, I'm convinced that you love us so much that you are probably a closet progressive. I honestly believe that. I think. But look, I want you to be at that place so that I can give you a big liberal hug. All right. So you go out there and look me up, and you're going to get a hug from me. And I'm going to make sure Neil takes a picture so that I can put it up there. Look, he's turned into a progressive. Okay.
Yes, let everyone know I'm selling Mexican flags if anyone needs one.
All right, good. You have a good one, Bart. Anyway, thank you, brother. Anyway, Glenn Ryan says I didn't read one of his messages, so I'm looking for it. And I think it says, if only there was an alternative to the Democrats who actually have progressive policies written into their platform that we could support instead. Oh, wait, there is. And I think when you say that, I don't know if you mean or Revolution, or you mean the Green Party. I'm not sure which one you mean, Lee the Beer Cat. But let me tell you, right now we are still a duopoly. I hate to say it, there are a lot of other parties, but that actually can win until you do something about it. We still have a duopoly. And what you have to do is within the duopoly, during the primaries, vote the progressives, but progressives have to get their butts out and vote. That's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take, Brother Glenn. But anyway, Neil, I think you wanted to say something else.
No, I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so that is how you do it, Glenn. What you have to do is progressives work under the Democratic umbrella, because they can no longer. There was a time when progressives worked under both umbrellas, Democrats and Republicans. In fact, the civil rights movement, a lot of it, was passed by both Democrats and Republicans. But we have sort of gone in. We've polarized, and in that polarization, progressives can only work under the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party has neoliberal fusion elements that actually run the party. You are correct on that. And the only way to do that is to dislodge it. One of the things that I've always told our progressives, including OR, is the one thing within these parties is there are precinct chairs that are empty all over the country. Thousands of precinct chairs are empty, right? Progressives should take every single one of those precinct chairs, and with that, they can make Democratic policy. I'm talking Democratic Party policy. But it takes work to do all of this. Glenn says, how has it worked over the last 30 years? It has not worked over the last 30 years. And that's because Brother Glenn, you don't just talk about it in a chat or complain about it. You do something about it. I've been complaining about the party for a long time. You know what I did about it? I started a radio program that was online only. Now I'm on air. I started several blogs, websites, wrote several books. What I'm saying is that Neil formed the Houston Democracy Project. What I'm saying is that we can't, and this is also what I've told the people at Indivisible, what I've told the people at different progressive organizations, is We cannot sit down and wait for a party to do a job. We, the people, grassroots, have to go out there and do something. What are all these somethings? Talking to not only the choir. You notice I speak to people not only that are identified Democrats or identified progressives. I speak to everybody. And that's what we have to do, brother. That's what we have to do. Go ahead, Lee.
You can go to Harris Democrat. If you want to become a precinct chair, you can go to harrisdemocrats.org, harrisdemocrats.org. There's a header that says precinct chair. You can apply. It tells you, you can ask to see if you have one in your area, but you can be, there are plenty of vacancies in Harris County, harrisdemocrats.org, precinct chairs, and you can start the process.
Absolutely. And now Glenn responds and says, correct, Egberto. I do. I vote for policies. I teach. I donate. I attend meetings. Stop giving your vote away for free. Okay. I want to just say this. The last statement that you, I agree with what you've said, but get rid of the last statement, brother. The magic of that statement that you just gave is you say, I do. I vote for my policies. I teach. That's important. And the way people will stop giving away their vote for free, as you say, it's for you to continue doing what you're doing. Keep teaching, keep donating to the right people, of course, to the right places, of course. And that slowly will make the change. It's not going to happen overnight. It'll make the change. Okay, it'll make the change. But thank you for being here, brother Glenn Ryan. And leaves the Bearcat. Come on in, Brian, from line 1. Okay, Brian, you're on.
Yes, I'm in. Okay. You know, a rocket ship doesn't leave the atmosphere on propulsion alone. It leaves through mathematics. Okay. Now, Elon Musk.
Okay, stop. That don't make any sense what you just said at all. I'm an engineer. That makes absolutely no sense what you just said.
Okay, how do you calculate propulsion?
No, a rocket leaves the atmosphere completely and entirely by propulsion. Period. That's an absolute statement. Continue.
Okay, how do you measure propulsion? Is it a guesswork? Do you guess how many?
No. We can calculate. There, look, it's a complicated calculation because as the propulsion occurs on the ship is getting lighter. So therefore, the equation that governs the ship is based on it's an integral that gets computed as you go. I made all those calculations for centripetal flight and all of that. But continue.
Are you ever going to let me speak?
Well, I have to, before you misinform the audience, I stopped you right away. So the first statement that you made was absolutely incorrect. Continue.
Is it guesswork, or do you have to put a calculator to find out how many pounds of thrust it takes?
No, you have to calculate that, of course.
I mean, it's mathematics, isn't it? It's mathematics, not just propulsion. That's what I said, and you cut me off.
Because you're wrong. I repeat that you're wrong, but go ahead.
Okay, Elon Musk is a rocket scientist, right? So he has a 19-year-old kid that goes in.
No.
There you go.
No, he's not, but continue.
Man, I'll tell you what. Why do you continually cut me off? Okay, now, he hired a 19-year-old kid. He went into AID, and his mathematics found billions of dollars, and the left wing has lost its mind. It really has. He wants our tax numbers. He wants all this. He shouldn't be there because he's that. Is that true or not?
Again, first of all, to answer your questions, first of all, Elon Musk is not a rocket scientist. He has a bachelor's of arts in physics, which is, again, bachelor's of arts, not a bachelor of science, bachelor's of arts in physics and a bachelor of science in economics. Elon Musk, this genius that folks like to make Elon Musk out of, he is not. He's just a person who's an expert in capitalism. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to what these guys are doing with Doge, yes, they're getting people's personal information. I could get anybody's personal information, stick it into AI, and get a whole lot of information, which is actually illegal. Okay? Continue.
Okay, you said you worked for NASA?
I worked for NASA in 1989. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you got pissed off and quit, right?
Yes, of course I quit.
Why?
I quit because it was a good old look. Let me finish. I quit because it was a good old boy network. I had to prove myself 2 times, 3 times more than anybody else. So I just formed my own company and went on my own.
No, I know people that work for NASA also, and they're far from good old boys. Trust me that. They're far from the good old boys that you just made people.
Okay, so let's see. You know people from NASA. I was at NASA. Who has more credibility, sir?
I would say I do.
Oh, so the person you getting it secondhand is more important than the person getting it firsthand, right?
Yeah, because I think he still works for NASA. He didn't get pissed off and quit. He worked on the detachment arm.
Okay.
The recovery arm.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
Thank you, brother. Have a great day, Brian. It's no point. Let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Good morning, Alberto. Let me say this to Brian and Bart. I don't drink. I don't do prescription drugs. I am not psychologically screwed up. But y'all need to just not sit and think. Y'all incapable. I don't have to shave anymore. Thank goodness. And let me say to both of you, the snap coin purse is still hanging there. Bye-bye. You can holler all you want to. Love you,
girl. Have a great day, my dear, beautiful Betty. All right, let's go to Anthony. Come on in, Anthony.
Yeah, good morning. I'm a little bit confused with what the overall topic is today, but because we covered several different things. But I think what's important for people to remember is that we didn't just get here overnight. Trump is not somebody that just showed up out of nowhere. Racism has been in this country, as we all know, for literally hundreds of years. The country was founded on racism, unfortunately, but we made a lot of strides to try to move in the direction of the better angels. But unfortunately, the people have elected this guy, Trump, who is I don't care what anybody says, he's a racist. It's pretty obvious he's a racist. Elon Musk is a racist, and all the people that Trump promotes in his cabinet, they're all racist, every last one of them. But we didn't get here by accident. This has been a process that the Republican Party has been working on for decades. And part of their equation is keeping people stupid. That's what their hat really needs to say. Instead of making America great again, their hat should really say, make America stupid again. That would be, to me, a more accurate description of what they're doing to this country.
I think Anthony. I want to interrupt for one reason. I want to thank you for saying that, because you're absolutely right. And I want to reiterate something that I told. I responded to Paul Fleming, where I stated, and do remember, keeping people dumb and racism, those are the tools of capitalism. Continue, my friend.
So, I'm an amateur historian. Okay. I don't have any fancy degrees, but I know a lot about how Hitler came to power. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a lot of parallels between what happened in the 1930s in Germany when Hitler came to power and what's happening now. I think I can make a good argument for that. I'm not saying that Trump is Orange Hitler. I'm not saying that, he's using the playbook. That's for someone else to make that argument. I'm just saying that there's a lot of parallels, and we all know how that ended in 1945. And so I'm just afraid that if this country doesn't wake up really quick, we're going to find ourselves in a situation that the people of Germany, and the people of Germany, they were smart people. They had very highly intelligent people, professors. They had some of the best universities in the world. That's why
Anthony, let me say you're right. I want to give you kudos here. First of all, are you white?
Yeah. If you saw a picture of me, you would say, "Where's this guy's Trump hat at?"
Okay, well, let me tell you why I'm asking this, because I want to make sure that my context is correct. All right. So, first of all, thank you very much, number one, for being able to state that. I have been in Kingwood here at the different organizations that I've been speaking at. They were mostly white organizations. And I mean, not mostly the members of these particular organizations were white. And I was very proud to see the response that I'm getting from these folks who actually not are hearing about it, but seeing it, feeling it, and expressing as you are, which is, I think, very important, and wanting to do something about it. And I think that kind of response is probably greater than the Nazi response in the 30s. So that is very important. And that I am seeing that what I've told many of these folks that I've been talking to is at this point in time, let folks know who you are and that you don't stand for what Trump is trying to promote here, because this coming out of mouths like yours is very important. But Anthony, I got to jump to Derek's, but I want to thank you for the call and keep calling. You got a place here. All right, brother?
Okay. Thank you very much. You got a great show. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Derek. Brother Derek, come on in.
Hey, Roberto, quickly. You know, I've been hearing this lately about we need to wake up. You done had 248 years to have woke up, and you haven't woke up yet. And my thing is, man, look, we some of our family members here at Politics Done Right. Look here, y'all. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. That which I heard, how in the world you going to question a NASA worker as well as an engineer concerning mathematics? Oh, my God. That's all I call to say, bro.
Derek, I just want to add to one thing. I want to show you the disrespect, right? And this is something that people of color speak about all of the times, right? It doesn't matter what your qualifications are. It doesn't matter. There's a certain level of disrespect that comes to you no matter what you have done or attained in life, right? If I go ahead and enumerate myself, right, folks would be like, "Oh, wow." But again, to some people, yeah, but don't forget what you look like. And that's something you live with. And any person of color, and specifically, let's say any professional of color, would tell you that is their lived experience in America. But anyway, thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
I say this right quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You remember I had called there, and I called there once before, and I brought that point up. That it was an unwritten law that came from out of the institution of slavery, that a black man knows nothing. Right. All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. We did good. We're at 54. Let me throw it to the studio before I ask you to close, Neil. Studio, my brothers.
And the studio is right here. I was digging around for some information about this rally coming up with Wesley Hunt. Go to house.gov. Let's see, it's Hunt, HUNT. .house.gov. You'll get to his page. The RSVP is not required. It doesn't say it's required, but I would do it anyway. There's a link that you can hit RSVP here. It's right underneath the picture, the Sam Houston Raceway. There's a bunch of horses being raced, and right underneath that it says RSVP here. So if you want to go to this thing, probably a good idea to RSVP. Doesn't say it's required, but you may want to do that. And here's his phone number too. 202-225-5646. That's Wesley Hunt. So good luck on that one. And Jack, you got anything? No. Jack says he doesn't have anything. So take it home, Egberto.
All right, Brother Neil, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project. And again, Ryan, he's doing something and you're doing something. That's what we got to do. Brother Neil.
Great. So the 5051 protest at City Hall, Houston City Hall at noon on President's Day. So hopefully you have the day off. You may not. But please get involved with your Houston City Council, HoustonTexas.gov. Why are Republicans running things there? And the Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. I have a blog. Please read and share word and support the project. And thanks to everybody. Thanks, Egberto, for having me on.
Look, Neil, you're an indispensable resource of our county, of our state, of our country, my dear brother. Anyway, folks, thank you, all of you in the chat. Love you all. Thank you for all that communication. That is how we get things done. Remember that the rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Folks, we've got to get serious about it. All of you that had comments in here, you're all correct, and we have to take this country where it needs to go. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto